Okay, there we go. Now it's recorded. Everything that is said from this point on is part of the podcast. So what's going on right now, I'll edit that out. But
No worries. Go ahead.
all right. We are back with another episode of Fiercely Made Fit with Tiana B. I am your host, Tiana B. And today we have a new special guest with us. Her name is Marisa, and she's going to be telling her story, giving us a brief overview of who she is, how she got to where she is, what inspired her, the works. So I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of talk to the audience.
Well, hi everyone. Thank you so much to Tiana for having me here today. I'm super excited and kind of nervous, but I think this is like my first real podcast interview about myself and who I am. So thank you again. But to begin, my name is Marisa. I'm a first gen, like daughter of immigrants. I also have my own podcast. I am working on my master's degree. Currently working to become an immigrant attorney. And then I also am a bodybuilder. We can go into that story later, but that's kind of a whole who I am in a few seconds.
Honestly, that was perfect. Like, just right off the bat, we're already off to a great start, and I'm so excited to get to know you on a deeper level when it comes to your fitness journey and everything up to this point. So if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and start with the first question.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, awesome. So you said you're a bodybuilder and everything, which is amazing. What motivated you to start this journey?
So, well, okay. And I guess I didn't mention this part. So I also work at Hooters. So I've been working at Hooters since 2016. And at Hooters, they have like Hooter calendars and pageants.
Mm-hmm.
And so growing up, I like was always in sports and dance. So I always, felt pretty fit. And once I started doing these Hooter like calendar submissions and pageants, I never won. Like, I think this year will be my sixth time submitting, and I have done, I think, about 5 or 6 pageants and have like never placed. But where it got started was about 2 years ago, or 2021, I started taking the gym serious because honestly, like, I got tired of losing. Like, I got tired of kind of feeling like I was losing at life. I got tired of not being happy, like, with my physique, and
Mm-hmm.
then not being happy that, like, I'm a person that had been working at Hooters for X amount of years, and everybody else around me had seemed like they were winning, and I just kept like taking like L after L.
Right.
So I started taking the gym more serious consistently, and I started seeing a little bit of progress in the gym. And I didn't like place at any of the pageants, but I got like best costume. So I was still able to kind of feel a sense of winning something. And I was just thinking, you know what, like, I'm not gonna just settle for like this place. Like, I wanna, like, I know I have the potential and deserve to like be number one. I'm like, I want that crown. I was like, give me a crown.
Absolutely.
I was like, that's what I want. I was like, I've been wanting a crown for years. And so then, after one day, I remember me and my partner at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'm just kind of like having my own pity party of just like, I never win, like, I'm sick of this. And for a couple months, I had been listening to a lot of bodybuilder podcasts. I had been following a lot of different bodybuilders, and I'm like, should I do this? Like, this is something completely new. Like, nobody had shown this to me. Like, nobody in my family, like, does any bodybuilding. Like, when we think of bodybuilding, we think of like Arnold, and that's it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
at that time, I wasn't aware of any famous bodybuilders. And so my partner was like, then, do it. Like, just do it. You see what happens. So essentially, I found a bodybuilding coach in where I live, contacted her, and we got started. And at first, it was honestly just kind of like a bucket list item of like, I want to challenge myself, I want to be
Yeah.
able to learn more than what I was just doing in the gym, but to also challenge myself. And I always said, I don't ever, whenever I want to do something, but I'm not sure, I think back of like, I sound kind of cynical, but I think about when like I'm on my deathbed or when I'm really old and I really am not mobile. Am I going to
Mm-hmm.
regret not doing a bodybuilding show? And I'm like, I absolutely would. I would completely regret not doing something just out of the fear of it. And so I contacted her, we got started, and about probably 3 months in, I just completely fell in love with it. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to just be a one-time thing. Like, I really enjoy this. And my coach is like, all right, well, like let's get through your first show before we talk about a whole bodybuilding career. Like let's just get through the first one. And I'm just that type of person, like where I'm already thinking about 10 steps ahead and I haven't even gotten to the first one. But
For
that's just who
sure.
I am. And so once we finished the whole prep and the whole competition season, and now I have a whole cycle of, being like in off season where you're bulking, being in a cut where you're, slowly shedding off the fat so you can see your muscles
Mm-hmm.
and see what your physique looks like for the show. And now back to a bulking season. It's like I've done a full cycle and now I'm like, yeah, I still want to do it. So I'm like, we can
Right.
plan our 10 steps ahead. So that's kind of how that whole fitness journey got started.
Oh my God. Okay. Like, I was really excited for this part because I've seen, like, her Instagram is amazing. I've seen all of your pictures and your videos, and it's so inspiring. So, to hear your backstory for this, like, to have, like, you wanted to feel like you were winning and you fell in love with something. And I really find that admirable.
Oh, thank
I love
you.
to hear it. I love to hear it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's funny because that's what I like talk about in my podcast, Barbell Baddiez Podcast. In the first episode, it's called like Underdogs Can Win because
Mhm.
I just felt like an underdog, and I'm like, you know what, underdogs can win too.
Exactly. Exactly. So this kind of transitions into the next question I'm going to ask you. And up to this point, like you said, you fell in love with it. And I'm just curious to know if you had like any roadblocks or distractions come up, while you're on this journey. Like if anything has made you pause in your tracks for just a second.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, it was it was my mindset. It was how I spoke to myself, that kind of stopped me or made me like second guess myself,
Mhm.
especially when I was in prep. So, like for any listeners out there that have never gone through a prep, um, I would say about like you start cutting on average 12 to 16 weeks before the show. And bodybuilding is a very extreme sport. And at some point, it does get really unhealthy. I was
Mhm.
about 3 weeks out from my show where I did not have any carbs, and you need carbs, for energy.
Right.
So it was around 3 weeks out, and I remember I had never felt this way where people always talk about like you have like you have your inner demons, and they're like I'm fighting my inner demons,
Mhm.
and I mean I don't know, I guess like when you think about it, it's like, what does that feel like? And I have never experienced what I'm about to say, but I remember I'm going to the gym with my coach. And
Right.
when you're training with your coach, you already know they're going to push you than more than what you would be doing yourself. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm like, I'm just depleted. I have no motivation. I'm like, I'm having kind of a bad attitude because I don't even want to be here, but here I am. And I'm doing, this single leg hamstring machine. So you're kind of leaned over and you're pulling this. I don't know how to explain it, but you're leaned over and it's a single leg. So you're just pulling the hamstring muscle or whatever.
Right.
And I just remember something came up in my mind and it was like, what are you doing? Like, who do you think you are? Like, you you think you can do like great things in bodybuilding or in general?
Mhm.
Like, just stop. Like, just go home. And I remember tearing up, and I had never experienced like such profound negative talk to myself like that, where it just was super clear. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect. Um, and I remember I like finished the set and I'm like, and I don't know, I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, but I don't like to be emotional and sensitive in public, especially like at the
Right.
gym. And I tell my coach, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And I just start bawling in the bathroom. I just start crying. And I keep hearing that mindset or self-talk of just stop. Like, you don't, you're not, you're not a winner is like kind of what I kept hearing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just crying and I'm like, you know what? No. I was like, I am still a winner. So then I go back out, do another set. I'm still tearing up, go back to the bathroom, cry some more, and I'm like, all right, we're good. We got that negative self-talk tears out of our system. And I go back and I finished the set and I remember telling my coach like I was crying. And she was like, "Aw, like it's okay, like we've all been there." But I think it was my mindset that would stop me in my tracks. And I
Right.
remember that specific moment where I was really questioning myself. And for a second was almost like, should I just quit? Like, even though I was so
Mhm.
close, like 3 weeks after doing it for 16 weeks, like you're going to quit when you're just 3 weeks away.
Right.
And so I think it was really just my mindset and my self-talk that was an obstacle that I had to overcome. And if anything, sometimes I would have wished there was a different obstacle that wasn't from within, because at least if it's something external, I think personally it's a little easier to deal with than something that is internal.
Right, right. No, like I can definitely piggyback off of that. It your mind can be your worst enemy,
Hmm.
especially when you want something so bad. Like when I first started training, like I when I first started working out, I had no specific goals, but then once I actually got into the hang of everything and I knew what I wanted my body to look like and I knew what I wanted to do, the mindset that I had made it so difficult to be happy while doing something
Hmm.
to benefit myself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, it's like
it's
you
just
have, or, no, go ahead.
no, yeah, it's you gotta fight that. You know, it takes so much to push yourself to push those thoughts out of your head and keep fighting for what you really want. So go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
No, I was just going to agree with you. It's like we have to work so hard to believe in ourselves.
Right.
And I mean, it sounds really sad, but I'm really happy that at least I know that now. Like, even though it's going to take work to continue believing in myself, at least I'm made aware of it at this age versus, when I'm like 40, 50, or 60. And it's like, wow, why did I go throughout my whole life not believing in myself? I could believe anybody else. I could believe in my family, my brother, my sister so easily. But it's like,
Right.
why do I have such a hard time believing in myself? And so it's always, a work in progress. But for any listeners out there, like, if you don't believe in yourself and you didn't even know that you did not believe in yourself, at least, hopefully you can be made aware of it now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So moving on, but I'm gonna kind of hit you with a double header. But
Okay. I got it.
so basically, this is a two-part question, and the
Mm.
first part of the question is previously, like before you even knew exactly what you wanted to do when you first got started, did you have any goals set then? And since then, have those goals changed?
Well, with my fitness journey, it did, and we kind of touched on it a little bit. So
Right.
at first with bodybuilding, it was a bucket list item of just to say that I did it. But now my new goal is I want to be a professional bodybuilder in the wellness category. And then I want to be like a competitive professional like bodybuilder. So, you could be a pro bodybuilder, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be competitive. There's like literally levels to it. So
Right.
you can be a competitive like amateur and then make it to pro, and then it's like you start at the bottom again. So now you got to work your way up in the pro league. So
Mm-hmm.
before it was a bucket list item, and now like I want this to be part of my career.
Right, right. I get that. I totally get that. And honestly, I was gonna also ask, like, if you have any goals, like, moving forward. Would you say that what you have said now, like, you wanting to be, like, a pro bodybuilder and everything, is that tying into moving forward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, and it's going to be a long journey. Like I in the bodybuilding world, I noticed that there's a lot of people that want to take shortcuts in terms of taking steroids and like growth
Right.
hormone like steroids. And I've noticed that a lot, especially here. Well, I'm sure it's everywhere, and I live in Colorado, so like of course I'm going to notice that here. But I notice a lot of like first timers that use growth hormones, and to each their own, and everybody can do what they want. But I know for
Hmm.
myself, my journey might take a little longer if I decide to not use those so much so early on. And I want to try to be a natural competitor for as long as possible. What
Right.
was your question again? I'm like, did I even answer it?
No, you honestly did answer it. It was just like me to like the goals that you had previously. I was wondering if they tied into goals moving forward, and you basically did answer it. Like if you, I don't know if you had anything else to tie into that, but you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, outside of fitness too, but like, yeah, I'm a professional bodybuilder, immigration lawyer, like hopefully also being like a positive influence on social media within
For
fitness and
sure.
immigration, moving forward as well. So, yeah.
Right, right. No, see, you answered it perfect. Perfect, perfect,
Yay.
perfect.
Yay, okay, awesome. I know, I'm like, did I can go on so many tangents and I'm like, wait, what was the question again? But
No,
no,
it
okay,
is
perfect.
all good. It's all good. So, I know you mentioned that like for your like roadblock wise, you said that your mind, you really got into that bad mindset. And that kind of leads me up to my next question. And I'm just curious to know how, you know, this life of fitness that you chose to be in, like you chose to put yourself into it fully. How has that impacted not only your physical health but your mental health? Like let's touch on both physical and mental.
How has fitness affected my physical health and my mental health? Well, so we can talk about mental health. I think when it came to, and it's so crazy, I actually spoke about this in my last episode about like gaining confidence. So I'm like, hey, at least I got that ready. So with fitness, like in my mental health, the number one thing that it taught me was mental resilience. And mental resilience is all about looking at failures as opportunities.
Mhm.
So, like when we're in the gym and we're doing heavy weight, you're doing every set as much as you can to failure. And even though like you couldn't even finish that full rep, it's like that is where that growth is. Like that's where well, obviously when you're sleeping, resting, that's
Right.
where the muscle's being built. But when you're in the gym, that's where like you're ripping the muscles so it can grow. So it's like that growth is an opportunity. And then you can translate that to other aspects in your life. And for myself, when it comes to like wanting my career goals of like an immigrant attorney, that mental resilience of continuing to pursue that is profound to me because I'm 27 now, and
Mhm.
I was applying to go to different law schools and stuff when I was 21, 22, and that was another L that I took of taking the law school admittance test. Honestly, it might be embarrassing to say, but then I'm also like, it's not embarrassing because I'm still going to keep doing it. It's only
Right.
embarrassing if you give up. And
Yeah,
even then, it's not embarrassing, but it's like that's where I feel like just don't give up if it's something you want to do.
for sure.
Um, so I took that test, I think like 3 or 4 times, and I did not get in while all my other friends are, going to law school. And what the gym taught me now looking back is I that mental resilience of looking at those failures as opportunities is what I think was meant to happen. Because if I would have gotten accepted in my early 20s, I
Mhm.
would have missed out on all these other experiences that would have helped me prepare to like deal with that rigorous curriculum and also kind of beef up my resume.
For
And I guess,
sure.
to go into detail about that so it's kind of clear, if I had gone to law school when I did, I would not have the opportunity of working for criminal defense attorneys. I
Mhm.
wouldn't have had the opportunity of working with like young adults here in Colorado to like pass. I think we passed when I worked with them like 10 different bills. I wouldn't have had the opportunity of running for city council here where I live. I wouldn't have the opportunity of working for like two different nonprofits, working with like the Latino community and working with kids that are incarcerated. I'm like, these are all things I would not have experienced. And I think about it even right now. If someone had told me, do you want to go to law school later and experience these opportunities, or do you want to go to law school right now? And, as much as I want to say I want to go to law school right now, it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that I was able now to have that mental resilience that I built in the gym to reflect and
Right.
think, wow, like I was able to experience all these things, and I never ever I don't want anybody to ever take those experiences away from me. So I feel like when it comes to fitness, it taught me mental resilience in the gym and building that mental resilience outside of the gym.
Right. Right. Oh my goodness. Literally, oh my goodness. When I say I was so excited for this episode, I truly mean that, because I just learning about each person that I interview is just it's so
Like a whole new
surreal to
world.
me. And
Yeah.
I'm stepping into something that I never thought I could step into, and just
Mm.
getting to know you while we're talking like this. It's such an honor, honestly. It's such an
Oh,
honor.
you're gonna make
And
me cry. Stop it.
I'm so glad that we were able to talk about this, because I just feel like your story, not only your story, but each person I interview, I feel like our stories could really inspire someone else. So when you say, like, everything that you just said, I totally get it, because it's that what if, like, what if I hadn't done this? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like,
Yep, I
that
agree.
it takes almost like one thing to happen to change the entire trajectory of what you thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's
100%.
amazing. I'm so happy for you. Seriously.
Thank you. Well, no, and it's interesting because these questions make me reflect on that. And so I'm happy that that we're doing this, because it's also sometimes I think everyone is so busy doing what we want to do or what we need to do, but very rarely do we take a moment to reflect. So this makes me reflect, and I'm happy that you offered me this opportunity to reflect, because not often do I get to do that. So thank you.
Of course, I'm glad that I'm able to do that. When I recorded my first episode, it really did make me reflect as well. So I completely agree with what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that this is happening for you.
No, thank you.
So,
Was there, oh, and you go ahead. Sorry. I
no,
didn't know if you wanted me
no,
to answer
go
the next
ahead. We're
part.
good.
I, I didn't know if you wanted me to answer the next part of the question or not.
Yeah, of course, of course.
What was it again? I'm like, I think it was something how fitness has affected me physically.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So with that one, I think, obviously with changing my physique and learning about my body, um, but I think what I really learned was the importance of not only taking care of my body and like building, my dream physique through the gym, but also
Right.
like taking care of my heart health, and through cardio sessions, and just learning more about the health wise. Like I mean, I'm like, if you want to ask Marisa in 2021 why she's going to the gym, I'm like, because I want to grow my booty. Like, that's what I'm going to the gym for. But now I'm like, I'm going to the gym so that I have, good and healthy cardiovascular health. Like, I'm going, and, addition to also like other reasons in terms of bodybuilding, but
Mhm.
also it's like, I'm lifting heavy weights so that when I'm older, like I still have like strong bone density, so that I don't have to have someone taking care of me at 65. I don't have to have someone having to lift things for me or put dishes away. So
Right.
it's like, it also taught me that the gym is not just to grow your booty. Like, the gym is also for life benefits that are going to take me all the way when I'm 60, 60, 70 years old.
Of course. Of course. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, we all know that's one of the main reasons why we're there, but
You're
it
not
is a lot
wrong.
more. It is a lot more than that once you get to into the process of it.
Exactly. I could not agree more. So, we're getting into we're wrapping up this episode, so I'm going to go ahead and ask you the last question that I have, and it's not really a question, it's more of just a I want you to give and share any advice that you have for everyone out there listening. Just anything you have to say, please do not be afraid to share it.
Oh my gosh, this is like the hardest question. Um, I would say to if I had like one piece of advice from what I've learned and on
Mhm.
this spot, something that is, coming from the heart is to never give up on yourself. To like never give up on your dreams, no matter how silly, how big, how small, and if no one else believes that you can do it, like if that's what you want to do, don't give up on it. Like don't ever give up on yourself. That would be my advice.
All right. That is perfect advice. I truly believe that, and it's said all the time, but I really feel like people don't put that into play. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people give up on themselves too easily. So if you
Right.
guys take anything from this episode of the podcast with Marisa, please listen to her when she says, "Do not give up on yourself."
Yep. Got to continue believing in yourself. No matter how hard it is, just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it. Simple as that.
Yep.
Well, that is all that I have for you today. So I just want to wrap this up by saying thank you so much for being able to connect with me and record this episode, because I, I was inspired by you. So I had to connect with you and get this out there for everyone listening, because you're just an inspiration. Seriously.
Oh my gosh, stop. And it's so funny because I'm like, what? No, stop it. So thank you.
Of
Thank you so much for having me. And this was a lot of fun. And I'm so excited to hear what others think about it as well.
Awesome. If you want to do any plugins for your podcast or your Instagram, please feel free to do so.
Yes. And, I assume this also like might be in the podcast description notes, but yep, you
Absolutely.
can follow me at Barbell Baddiez Podcast. The way that it sounds, except Baddies is with a Z on Instagram. We have the podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, working on YouTube. And then you can also follow me on my personal one I was going to say like my phone number, at Mawisha, Mawisha. And we also have, we're available on TikTok. As if like it's a whole community. I'm like, it's just me. At Jim Marisa, Gymarisa, but we'll have that in the description notes. So thank you so much, Tiana, for this opportunity.
Absolutely. And of course, you guys know Fiercely Made Fit is on Spotify and on YouTube, both at Fiercely Made Fit. And that's pretty much all I have. So thank you so much. And it was so great talking to you.
You as well. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.